I was going through YouTube, and the more we express the awakening of the Israelites, so-called African Americans, blacks, Negroes, you name it, the sons and daughters of the diaspora, the more we expose the reality of the truth of the sons of diaspora, the more we get people that want to challenge, because they are doing what they feel that they are inspired to do, which is defend the faith of Christianity. I have no problems with that. I take my hats off to you if you are defending your faith, as they call it, Christianity. However, before there was a faith or a religion called Christianity, there was a people called Hebrews who were descendants of Abraham, and Israelites who are descendants of Jacob, whose name was changed to Israel. Now, a brother posted a video. I don't know the brother's name. He just represents many, that basically was trying to connect all Hebrew Israelites to Prophet, pardon me, let me back up. Respect to him. Prophet, as he was known as Prophet Frank Sandy Cherry. He was the founder of the Church of the Living God, the ground pillar of truth for all nations. Okay, is there a connection between Prophet Frank Cherry and Mother Mary Magdalena Tate? That leads to further research. Do I believe it's possible that she knew him and the name that she used for her ministry may have been influenced by Prophet Cherry? It's possible, and I'll tell you why. Because Mary Magdalena came from, or let me put it this way, I don't know where she came from, but I know her ministry was incorporated in Nashville, Tennessee, according to their history, right? Prophet Cherry founded his church, and don't quote me exactly, but Prophet Cherry founded his church, I think it was 1886 or 1896 or something like. I think it was 86, but don't quote me. So Prophet S. Cherry was from the South. He formulated his movement initially, the Church of the Living God, ground pillar of truth for all nations, in Chattanooga, Tennessee. He then moved, as many people around that time moved, from the South to the North because of the Jim Crow laws. He moved to the North, and he started a second church called under the same name, where he became renowned on the radio. About 1974, I want to say right around that time, I was about 10 years old, maybe 9, maybe 73. So now my dad was connected to the Church of the Living God, ground pillar and truth. Now he was a pastor of the Christian aspect of that movement. Okay, follow me now. Church of the Living God, ground pillar and truth, Inc. which is the same organization that Mary Magdalena Tate Lewis is the founder of. My dad was a pastor in that organization. However, for some strange reason, I don't know if there was a connection between the two or what the situation was. All I know is my dad preached for the predecessor. It's the predecessor or not the predecessor. The successor is what I'm trying to say, of Prophet Cherry's ministry. Okay, that was about 73 or 74. When my dad went to preach, it was on a Saturday. I remember specifically as a child going to a church on a Saturday. And if I remember correctly, they were dressed in black and they had like skull caps or beanies or something on their head, kind of like Jewish people. And it freaked me out because I had never seen nothing like it. I mean, my dad's a pastor. In our church, my dad didn't wear clergy collars, none of that. At that particular time in his ministry, he didn't wear clergy collars. Occasionally, he would wear a robe if he did like a funeral or a wedding. But for the most part, he didn't wear clergy clothes. So when we went to this Church of the Living God in Philadelphia on Nicholas Street, I believe it was. I didn't know at that time and I think it was Nicholas Street, but they may have had another location, but I know it was in Philly. Went to the church, got in there, and it was on a Saturday, and they was dressed in black with skull caps on, and they kept saying Yeshua. And so I asked my dad, I said, why are these people dressed like that? And my dad said to me, I remember, he said, they are black Hebrews. That's what he said, black Hebrews. At the age of 9 or 10, what does that mean to me? Black Hebrews. I never heard tell such. I wasn't knowledgeable of the Bible or historical biblical history. So, long story short, that stuck with me. And all through my childhood days, I remember, but it was a strange thing because it never really registered to me what I had experienced. If anybody happens to see this video that are a part of or are a son or daughter descendant of that movement, please reach out to me because I want to get some more history. But I know for a fact that my dad preached at the Church of the Living God, Ground Pillar Truth for All Nations in Philly. I know it for a fact he did because my dad wasn't welcome in a lot of circles because he was anti-denominational preaching. So any different, my dad preached at all kinds of churches. Most they were independent churches. My dad didn't like denominational churches too much because he felt like that they were programmed and that they was not open to the move of the Most High that he's trying to do, a prophetic move, right, in his age, in his day. Okay, many Hebrew Israelite movements came out of Seven-day Adventist movements or commandment keepers. Many of the commandment keepers did not know that they were Israelites, but they knew about keeping the commandments. So thus you have commandment keepers, you have Sabbath keepers, you have Pentecostal Hebrews, you have different various sects of Pentecostal Hebrews. And so what I'm trying to do is put together a story, our story, because you can't connect every Israelite to Prophet Cherry. I was visited by an angel of Yah. I know what it is now, but back then I heard a voice, and I said it was the voice of Yah, but apparently it must have been the angel of Yah that spoke to me and told me specifically that I was an Israelite, and for me to study Daniel 9 and all the prophecies pertaining to Israel and Jerusalem, and that the book would open up to me.